This year's virtual New York City Marathon was a bit eventful. It was the most confident I've ever been attempting a sub 3-hour marathon, and things got a little crazy. It all started with the day before on my shakeout run, where I took things really easy, nice 2 mile at a slow pace. I'm just getting prepared for the next day, as most marathoners do. I ended the night with some meal prep and laying out my gear so I wasn't stressed out the next day when I raced. Now, normally races happen in the morning on the next day, but I decided to do 1 p.m. on Sunday, November 1st, because the high in Chicago was 37 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 2 degrees Celsius. Pretty frigid. I got a great night's sleep, about 10 hours. Got a full 10 hours of sleep, which is insane. I never get that much sleep. And I just got to spend the morning hanging out with my family, eating my peanut butter toast and bananas, and hanging out with these hooligans. There we go. After doing final prep and checking all my gear, I headed over to my studio, where I was gonna meet Mike and Bean, who were gonna help me film my entire race.
What's up? Let's go!
Oh, I forgot to turn it around like a normal vlogger and get us hugging. I'm bad at this. Okay, do the hug again for the vlog.
Let's go! Right here, right here!
Yeah. Mike was hyped. So we chilled at the studio, finished our final plans on what we were gonna do for the race, and I decided to start at Montrose Track, which is on the north side of Chicago's Lakefront Trail over by Lake Michigan. I was gonna go up 3.5 mile loop north, back to the track, and then 11 miles south and loop back up to the track to finish all 26.2 miles. All the while, Bean and Mike were gonna follow me on this $9,000 cargo bike where one of them sat in the front and the other pedaled behind. So we parted ways, I to the track and Bean and Mike to the bike to bring it to me, and bring it to me they did.
Start spreading the news.
You know they play this at the start line?
I'm leaving today.
New York Marathon 2020.
I want to be a part of it.
It was awesome. I told Mike like 2 months prior that they did the Frank Sinatra New York song, and he rolled up with his huge Sonos Bluetooth speaker blasting it. And it just got me so pumped for the race. It was so awesome. I have the best friends.
Start spreading the news.
And we started. First 6 miles felt effortless at 6:45 pace, and I knew that I had to maintain between 6:45 and 6:50 for every mile as long as I could to try to get as close as I could to get that sub 3 marathon goal. Otherwise, I knew I was gonna burn out by going too fast, too early, and wanted to maintain as much stamina as I could for as long as I could.
You for a while.
And then mile 8 came. So we were rounding the corner at Oak Street Beach on Lakefront Trail in Chicago. It is this roundabout that you have to go across by the John Hancock building. And since it was so windy yesterday, 25 mile an hour wind gusts, the water came crashing up onto the trail. I didn't think it was gonna be a big issue. I saw that all of the pavement was wet, but I assumed that it would just be like minimal amounts of water coming up. It wasn't. As we approached, I saw an enormous wave crash down, and we got pinned up against the wall, and I had to high knee through the water. Shoes got completely soaked. I was wet all the way up to my knees, and mind you, it was 37 degrees, so it wasn't the best feeling, and it really messed me up psychologically. Being 8 miles into a 26.2 mile race, I had to deal with the fact that I was going to be running in wet shoes the rest of the race.
All right. Guess I'm running in wet shoes the rest of the marathon. Yep.
I tried to stay as positive as I could. My buddy Dan Voss came along in 2 separate spots to cheer me on, and my family, with the boys running after me for a little bit, which is really, really fun and exciting. We went to the south side of the trail, and the guys kind of ran into more water issues along the lakefront. We took the lower path instead of the upper path, and that was my fault. And so they stopped and turned around and decided they were going to meet me back at mile 17. So I ran 4 miles by myself between 13 and 17. And it was very lonely, and I was really nervous because I thought I was separated from them for good. I had no idea when I was gonna relink with them. I didn't have water, so I was just kind of freaking out. I turned around to go back north, and I faced the 25-mile-an-hour gusts that were coming from the north head on. And it was just a really, really difficult part to overcome and to stay confident and positive, to stay on pace around the 6:45 to 6:50 window. I maintained that, but some of these wind gusts were really messing with me and making it really hard. Feet were really cold, legs were really cold from all the water. Things just got real from that point on. So I reunited with Bean and Mike at mile 17, and I started to fall off pace around mile 20. We came back to the Oak Street bend again, and as I approached, I thought to myself, if another wave comes towards me, I'm literally going to turn around and run the opposite way and take another shot at it again. But I saw that there was an opening, and I went and I saw a wave coming in, so I had this burst of speed, and Mike and Bean got wrecked by a wave. It hit the wall and came up over Mike's shoulder, so they had to deal with being wet the entirety of the last 6 miles. But then after that, my legs completely seized up on like 21 and a half. My right quad and my left hamstring cramped. I've never experienced that in running to that extent. Completely locked up to the point where I was just like stiff as a board and yelling and screaming in pain. It was not fun. I took on water, I ate another stinger, and it was at this point I really wished I had been taking salt tablets, which I hadn't been on this marathon. So the next 4.5 miles was probably the hardest 4.5 miles I've ever run in my life, I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to stop so many times, and I nearly stopped a handful of times. But just kept pushing, and my friends were just so amazing. They kept encouraging me the entirety of that way, telling me that I could do it, letting me know that I had it within me, that all my training leading up to that point and all of my mental fitness would carry me through those last 5 miles. So I finished on the track where we started with my friends and family watching, and it was the longest 2.5 laps on a track I've ever experienced. When I stopped my watch, it was 3:05:23, a new PR. But my right quad just completely seized up again, and I fell to the ground. I was a hot mess. I'm not proud of like how I looked and how I was dealing with that situation, but I literally felt like death, like I was gonna pass out. I felt like I was blacking out. Mike had to like walk me around the field and get me like moving again. Finally came to, realized that that was still an incredible time. I PR'd from my last marathon by 5.5 minutes, going from 3:10:55 to 3:05:23. Still an incredible accomplishment. I didn't go sub 3 like I had hoped, but given the conditions, it was still pretty dang exciting to get that time. So I took a shower at Mike's place, headed back to the studio, and I had to like lay down for 30 minutes. And then I actually ended up puking 2 times over the course of the next 2 hours, which was miserable. I was, again, just a hot mess. And it's weird, like every marathon I've run up until this point, it's been 4 of them. I've either puked during the marathon or after the marathon. So I don't know if that's my anatomy or if I'm just not supplementing with nutrition enough. If you know more about that, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what I might be doing wrong. Otherwise, it might just be my cross to bear in distance running. So then I finally got my pizza and my beer, and I was very happy. And it was just an amazing end to an incredible day. So positives out of this, I got a new PR. It was an incredible training block. I gained so much more new confidence in my abilities and what I'm able to push through, both physically and mentally. Some takeaways: I need to do things better. Nutrition during running, taking on more calories, getting more water, and bringing those salt tablets. I just assumed since I wouldn't be sweating a lot, I wouldn't need any salt tablets, but with the cramping, I probably needed more salt. If you have more recommendations of what I needed to do to stop that cramping, I would love if you commented to help me out with that as well, because I'd never experienced that, and I did. I don't know. I'm just so grateful that I get to do stuff like this, that I have such incredible friends that are willing to do that kind of crazy event with me, encourage me the way that they did. I feel so fortunate. It was such a bummer that I wasn't able to run New York City this year. I was so looking forward to it. New York's one of my favorite places on earth, and it's one of the coolest marathons in the world. So yeah, that was really tough to deal with, but the fact that they did this for me and helped me out in that process to feel like this was still an event worth celebrating and trying my hardest was so cool. So if you like this video, please make sure to like it, comment down below to help with the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel if you like content like this, turn on that notification bell if you want to know when I post. Till the next time Floberg runs, I'll see you there. Peace. I'm not going to puke anymore.
I guess it feels strange to you, admit